summers are becoming longer and hotter. That creates far greater fuel conditions for wildfire. We know that sea level rise is an unfolding disaster. Even though people don't see it as dramatically in their daily lives as fire, in some ways it's a more expensive and probably a more life-threatening problem than even fire is. But we also understand that there's also a biological extinction crisis.
Since 1976, the Sonoma Land Trust has protected over 50,000 acres of gorgeous, productive, and environmentally significant land, partnering with nature to help the county adapt effectively to a rapidly changing climate.
If you imagine nature as your inheritance, normally we're supposed to live off the interest. We're spending down the capital right now. So we need to restore that capital, the things that actually sustain life on the planet, in order for us to have a future as a species. Part of the solution is to ensure that there's enough land for plants and animals to move across as conditions change.
The Land Trust and its partners recently assembled and opened to hikers nearly 6,000 acres of open space, rising more than 2,000 feet from the ocean's edge at Jenner Headlands Preserve to the top of the tallest peak on the Sonoma coast, Pole Mountain.
The land encompasses coastal bluffs, riparian forests, coastal oak woodlands, redwood forest, and within that, a mix of ecologically rich habitat types. Some of the notable wildlife species that have been sighted out there include the golden eagle, bobcat, mountain lion, coyote, black bear, a multitude of birds of prey. Some are special status species like northern harrier, osprey, American peregrine falcon. And altogether, this mix of wildlife really require these large intact landscapes to thrive.
Sometimes the Sonoma Land Trust is able to protect habitats hardly touched by human hands, like Bear Canyon Wildlands near Geyserville.
Oh my, it's one of our most photogenic spots. Like the first day the bear came through. And so there's two bears out there we've identified. I've named one of them Cal. We've got bear, mountain lions, deer, coyotes, bobcats, skunks, squirrels, birds, and it's not just that we have them, it's continual. So if there's a healthy animal population, it means nature is creating all these things that are also critical for people. It means we have clean air, it means we have clean water, it means we have food to eat. And you can't discount the factor of joy in our lives. People love seeing animals. It brings joy into our hearts, and that's a really important part of being a human being. So I think it's more than just the physical, it's that emotional and the spiritual, to be quite honest. It's those things that make us human, without which simply being alive, I don't know, it's not enough.
The Sonoma Land Trust and other institutions have rallied to form an alliance here in Sonoma Valley to manage 18,000 acres of parks and wildlands to reduce risks of fire now and in the increasingly dangerous years ahead as our climate warms.
We're taking a holistic approach where we want to buffer the communities. We also have the capacity amongst the group to look at fire and managing vegetation in a very ecologically beneficial way.
The Land Trust and its parks and open space partners, in collaboration with CAL FIRE, will proactively employ a kit of fire management tools, including mechanical fuel reduction, grassland grazing, and carefully controlled and prescribed burning of the land.
There's been a marked shift in how the public, the community, is thinking about this whole topic. If we want to have our functioning landscapes, we're going to have to keep burning too.
We've really, in the last year or two, upped the pace and scale of which we do these prescribed burns. And with this weather that we're seeing, we're getting an earlier start on it also. So it's definitely a great one of the tools in our toolbox that we're able to use.
None of us can do it on our own, so we have to have that support so that it becomes the self-perpetuating program that will keep this rolling into the future with all the benefits it has. and we don't just go back to, where we were 3 years ago.
Climate change is presenting us with multiple and unprecedented challenges, none more significant than the certainty that sea levels will rise 1 to 2 feet in the next few decades.
Sea level rise is predicted to cost us more as a community, as a state, than wildfires and earthquakes combined in this century, because there is so much development in harm's way.
We're going to see significant sea level rise regardless of what we can do. So we need to adapt as well as mitigate. We need to think now and we need to think ahead.
Today, this lightly developed north shore of San Pablo Bay holds enormous potential for future wetland restoration to provide protection against rising seas.
So the vision is really a network of large, connected, restored tidal wetlands. Tidal wetlands turn out to be really the cheapest way and one of the most effective ways of protecting our communities against sea level rise. This work needs to get underway in this decade. If it doesn't, it just becomes all the more difficult.
This big and urgent undertaking is being tackled right now by the Sonoma Land Trust and many others as they race to stay ahead and above the waves to come.
We're fortunate to have a community that has a really strong sense of place and really cares about the future of Sonoma. People come to live here for very specific reasons and choose to raise their family here because of its incredible natural beauty. And they understand that that's going to take investment, and it's going to take policy changes, and it's going to change a little bit about how we manage and restore and protect these places.